9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome back to another edition of the Rising Coaches Member Spotlight. Very excited about today's episode. We're joined by new assistant coach, Zack Freesman of Western Carolina. And before we jump into it, we want to thank our sponsors, Lucio Sports. I don't know if you guys saw this, but the NCAA just passed legislation allowing technology in the huddles. So you're going to need to get ahead of that, come up with a plan as your program and staff of how you're going to integrate technology into your in-game execution. Lucio Sports is used. It's what the pros use. You see it in NBA huddles all the time. Their whiteboard app allows you to show animated play diagrams. So the days of pulling out the whiteboard and drawing up crazy squiggly lines are over. Now you're going to be pulling out an iPad. You hit play, and you see the play diagram animated, and you can do it 4 to 5 times in a 30-second timeout. The statistics that they've gathered on their ATO efficiency from teams that use their product are off the charts. So if you're looking to get an edge, if you're looking to integrate technology into what you do in your huddles and improve your ATOs, check out our friends at Lucio Sports, luciosports.com. And if you're a Rising Coaches member, you get a free personal license to their app. So you can sign up for Rising Coaches at risingcoaches.com. You can get your hands on it, see if you like it. And if you do, then you can call and sign your team up. So very excited about our partnership with Lucio Sports, very excited about their new product, and the timing's amazing with the new rules allowing people to use tech in their huddles. So also, before we get into it, just want to mention we have our live conferences. We're coming back in person to you. So June 17th through the 18th in Phoenix, Arizona, right before the big Section 7 high school recruiting event, and July 6th through the 7th in Atlanta, right before the big AAU recruiting period, which, of course, is always housed in Georgia between Augusta and Atlanta, about 5 different spots in Atlanta. So we hope to see you guys there in person at our events. Visit risingcoaches.com for all of the info. Whew. Zack, good to see you, man.
Man, great to see you, Adam. Appreciate you having me on.
No, I'm very excited to have you on because we've known each other for years, and more importantly, or I don't know about more importantly, but Rising Coaches has known you for years. You've been coming for years. You've been a part of what we do for probably 7-8 years now, since going back to your days as a manager in North Florida, right?
Definitely. Unbelievable organization. Really helped me connect with some other aspiring coaches, and just fortunate to be a part of it from the early days.
Yeah. What year, when was the first event that you attended?
I want to say it was in 2014. Definitely went to a Rising Coaches conference out in Vegas. Been in Indianapolis, been in Charlotte. So some great conferences that you guys put on, and really helps network and listen to some great speakers as well.
I love it. So 2014, what year were you in college?
Rising junior.
Yeah, I thought you were younger. Sometimes you get the people that are managers that are about to graduate or just graduated, but every once in a while we get underclassmen managers, and they keep coming, and you're like, man, this guy's going to turn into something. And here you are, a new assistant. Couldn't be happier for you, Zack.
I appreciate it. I appreciate that very much. Really excited to be here today.
So give us your background, man. Tell us where you're from. Tell us how you got into coaching, and give us a quick snapshot of your journey to here.
Yeah, so grew up in South Florida, played high school basketball. My dream was to go to the University of Florida and be a manager there. And my brother and sister, both Gators, and I got rejected from my dream school. And I thought life was over. Turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me. Went to University of North Florida as a manager. Spent 4 unbelievable years there with Coach Driscoll and his staff. Just unbelievable, world-class people that helped lay a foundation for me as an aspiring coach. I'm forever grateful for them. Getting married next week, and they'll be there. We'll touch on that a little bit later. But those guys are family to me, and so appreciative Went to VCU for 2 years as a grad assistant. First year there was for Coach Wade and his staff. He went to LSU, and I was a little bit in limbo. Again, thought the world was over. Turns out it was the next best thing that could have happened. Coach Rhodes and his staff came in and just welcomed me with open arms from day one. And to young people out there that are watching this, is whether you're a manager or a GA and your coaches leave, the first thing a lot of young people do is they want to apply to that next school and go with their coach, and they don't know what's next. And what I would say, and I told this to our guys at Winthrop and some other friends in the business, entertain the possibility of a new staff for so many reasons. You expand your network, first of all, but you learn a whole different way of doing things. And that's exactly what happened at VCU with Coach Rhodes and that staff. Learned a lot from Coach Wade, but the opportunity to learn from Coach Rhodes and those guys really opened my eyes to a third way of doing things after the Coach Driscoll experience. So that was unbelievable.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I had a very similar experience at Clemson. And I think it's easier when you're a GA because GAs are a little bit more immune to the turnover.
Definitely.
Sometimes they let you hang around a little easier when you're GA. But even full-time guys, sometimes it works out. And it's an awesome experience. And what I found was they leaned on me a little bit more than they would. I actually gained responsibilities because I was the one guy that knew where the cafeteria was, where to take people on recruiting visits. And, it kind of put me in a new, light in terms of what I was able to do for the staff.
Yeah, that's a great perspective for sure. For sure.
Sorry to cut in. Anyways, please.
No, you're good. I appreciate you adding that. So finished up as a GA in 2018, just over 3 years ago. And, man, I had nothing. Reaching out to a whole bunch of contacts, everyone I know, reached out to Adam as well, anyone that would help me. And turns out that Winthrop was going to have an open video job. And dating back to 2015, we played Tennessee Tech in a home and home. And we'll touch on this a little later. But one thing I did was I reached out to every incoming ops director of ops of the opponent. Introduced myself. Here's who I am. Here's what I want to do. I'll help. I'll do your laundry. I'll let you in. Anything you need. Any questions? Where you want to eat in town? I'm your guy. And the reason why I did that was it was an opportunity to meet people and build relationships. Well, fast forward 3 years, I got to know their GA at the time, Mitchell Hill, and built a relationship with him. Worked their camp. Got to know him. And Mitchell's in my wedding next week. And Mitchell was the one that told me, hey, the video job's probably going to open. He was the director of ops at Winthrop in 2018, and he got me the interview. So that was really, really fortunate. Went to Winthrop as a video coordinator. He moved on after 1 year, and coach promoted me to director of ops for the last 2 seasons.
The story you just told is perfect because so many people get caught up with oh, I got to get to know all these head coaches. I got to network with these head coaches. And that's great. And if you can do that, good for you. But it's the GAs that turn into the ops guys that tell you about the jobs that are open. That's just as valuable because, even though how it is, like when you go on Hoop Dirt or the job boards, anything that's posted is usually filled already. So knowing what's open is like half the battle. And so that's great. And the fact that you got creative and found ways to connect with people by, hosting them when they were in town. I mean, how many games go by where a team comes into your arena and goes and you really never connected with anybody? And you've always been great at that. You've been a great letter writer. You're really good at staying connected to people and building those relationships as you go.
I appreciate that. It's definitely, you got to get creative. Reaching out to every opponent was smart, but the follow up and follow through is so critical because, you let a team in and you help them out. That's great. You don't talk to them again for 2 years. And then you see an opening on their staff. Well, they're not even going to respond to you most of the time because they're not going to know who you are. So building that relationship, genuine relationship is so important.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, so you get to Winthrop. your video coordinator. You move up. You're working for Pat Kelsey. You guys have unbelievable amounts of success. And we could probably do a whole podcast just on like how he coaches and your guys' style of play. Which I feel like we should talk about a little bit. Like what makes, obviously you guys shoot the crap out of the ball. It seems like you got 5 shooters on the floor at all times. What do you guys do if you can pinpoint like 1 or 2 things that is so unique and so effective?
Yeah. Well, first of all, you got to have great players. And we had that at Winthrop. Credit to the staff for evaluating that talent and bringing them in and then developing them. The player of the year in the Big South last year was a Division II transfer, and Coach Kelsey has had unbelievable success in his 9 years at Winthrop with Division II guys. It's become much more popular now, but he was doing it before anyone else did. So our player of the year was, a Division II transfer. And then we had a true 5, a former top 100 player that came back home and transferred from Tennessee, along with another Division II kid that, just transferred to Texas Tech. So a lot of talent there. But what we did was we call it 3 to the baseline, and we're going to run the floor harder than anyone else in the country. We're going to offensive rebound top 10 in the country, and defensive rebound top 10 in the country to create extra possessions in the game. But we're going to run. We're going to shoot great shots. It doesn't matter if it's 5 seconds in the shot clock or 5 seconds left in the shot clock. We just want to generate great shots. And, we have different things. We use something called the shot spectrum, where we want to generate the most shots of the most efficient shot. The most efficient shot in the game is a free throw. And so how are you going to generate free throws? Well, you got to attack downhill, make 2 play you, get fouled or find the open guy, and, different things like that. So free throws, rim shots, layups and dunks, and then threes. So we try and limit, paint 2s, non-paint 2s, the lowest percentage shots in the game. So we use some different things, and then, you're going to be good at what you emphasize. So every day in film, we're showing them the shot spectrum. We're showing them how hard they ran the floor. Everything's graded. And Coach Kelsey just has that down to a T, and how we did things. And we're going to do things really, really similar here at Western Carolina. So really excited about that.
Yeah, I love it. And again, like I've got like 10 different questions I want to ask you, but this podcast is about you. So we'll keep it moving. So you guys, like we mentioned, you guys have great success there. Winthrop, make a run in the tournament, win some conference championships. And then all of a sudden, it's the off season, and it's probably been like this the last 2-3 years. Every off season, you know how it is. Like names get thrown around for jobs that may not even be involved, but like Coach Kelsey's name obviously was one that got thrown out a lot. So I'm sure you're always nervous around that time or anxious. And then all of a sudden the call comes and he gets the College of Charleston job. So take me through like how the next, from that call, like how did he let you guys know? How did you find out to like where you are today? Give us like how that all went down.
Yeah, the coaching carousel is unique. And Coach Kelsey's name was involved for a lot of jobs every year, and deservingly so. He's an excellent coach, unbelievable X and O's, knows how to push the right buttons and get everyone in the organization. Doesn't matter if you're a manager, director of ops, or the best player, moving in the right direction. But he was a finalist at Wake Forest the year before, and going through that process. Really great relationship with Coach, but there's no guarantees in this business. And going from Winthrop to potentially Wake, who knows what that's going to look like for myself or anyone else on the staff. I was at VCU, and Coach Wade got the LSU job, and it didn't take everyone from VCU. So it's different everywhere, and there's no guarantees. But having a second year under my belt as his director of ops, and being involved at the College of Charleston job, definitely felt good about it. But again, there's no guarantees. But a great relationship with Coach Kelsey. And as obviously he got the job, plays it extremely close to his chest. Explained that when the Wake Forest situation was going down, because Twitter, everyone sees everything, but plays it extremely close to his chest, which I respect and can appreciate. And let us know once it was done that he got it, and wanted to bring the entire staff, which which I respect because that doesn't happen often. And he brought every single member of his staff to the College of Charleston.
Awesome. So you're in Charleston for what, 2 weeks? You're probably looking at apartments. Where are you going to live? What's your favorite lunch spot? Whatever. So tell me about like those 2 weeks and then the Western Carolina thing.
Yeah. So it was crazy 2 weeks. So he gets the College of Charleston job, and Coach Gray is involved in the head coaching job at Winthrop, our head coach here at Western Carolina. So I'm at the College of Charleston working for Coach Kelsey, but knowing that Coach Gray's interviewing and having an unbelievable relationship with Coach Gray. And he tells me from the start, hey, if I get this job, I want to keep you. And so that was kind of unique. And, I'm really, really appreciative of his trust and belief in me. But he doesn't end up getting the job. So he comes to Charleston and quickly gets a call from the AD here, interested in him. So it's a really unique 2 weeks. Again, he tells me, hey, if I get the job, I want to take you there. And, it's tough because I have a great relationship with Coach Kelsey, but he can definitely understand it's an opportunity to be on the road, be a full-time assistant, and was so supportive. And, I'm thankful for that. But it was crazy. 2 weeks at the College of Charleston, looking for apartments online. My fiance came into Charleston the Friday before Coach Gray got the job, and she had been there literally 10 minutes. I just got in the car. She drove in, and I knew Coach Gray was meeting with the committee here for the job, and that afternoon. So I get in the car, and my phone rings, and it's Coach Gray, and we had just gone on this roller coaster at Winthrop for him, applying for the job, and my fiance goes through that roller coaster with me. She asked for it, so updating her throughout. And for this job, she says, hey, I don't want to go on the roller coaster. Just tell me at the end, yes or no. Yeah. So I'm like, totally,
smart.
Whatever you want to do, that's cool with me. So I know when this phone rings, hey, he just met with the committee. So I answer it, put it on speakerphone, and he says, Freeze, I think I'm going to get the job. And the emotions just ran through, both of us was unbelievable. A dream come true. I'm 26 years old, didn't play college basketball, and for a coach to believe in me the way he has and empower me is just unbelievable. It's hard to express in words. So it was a great moment there for my fiance and I, and just sharing the excitement with Coach Gray was unbelievable.
That's awesome. And you're getting married next week, which congratulations, by the way. But yeah, Charleston's really nice. Your fiance probably got there and was like looking around, and she's like, I could get used to this. And then you get the call, we're going to Western Carolina, honey. Pack up your bags. Don't unpack. Let's go.
Yeah, it was crazy. She was coming in. We had 10 different apartments scheduled to look at for the next couple of days. And once we got that call and Coach felt really good about it, we just turned it into more of a celebration. We looked at 2 apartments just to do our due diligence in case things fell through. But it was unbelievable. Charleston was an easy sell, but my fiance is so supportive of me and my dreams. And, there was no, hey, I want to stay, or hey, this, that. Like, yes, we're going. I don't know where it is, but we're going is kind of what she said. So we went from the beach to the mountains, but excited to be here.
I love it. Okay, so, one of the big hurdles for guys like us, and when I say like us, I mean like former managers that didn't play in college. One of the big things is like, everyone's got their own path, right? We get that. But like one of the, standard trajectories for guys that want to be at the Division I level is, you sit in support staff roles, GA, video ops, whatever else in between. There's all kinds of titles now. And getting that first assistant job is so hard because it's like when you go to the DMV and you lose your driver's license and they ask you for your ID and you're like, I don't have one. That's why I'm here. It's the same thing. Like you can't get that first assistant job because they're like, you got no recruiting experience. Well, how do I get recruiting experience unless you give me a shot? Can you talk a little bit about like that hump? Because so many people struggle with that and it is hard. How did you kind of manage that over the years? And what do you think ultimately got you the position and gave Coach Gray the trust in you to put you in that role?
Definitely. It's extremely difficult hump to get over. And I'm really, really fortunate because there's no guarantees in this business, and I easily could have been in a support staff role for another 10 years. And who knows, I might be back there tomorrow. But, I'm really fortunate for Coach Gray believing in me. And that goes for anything. Like, how do you get your first head coaching opportunity if no one gives you that opportunity, And our athletic director, Alex Gary, believed in Coach Gray and hired a guy that had 2 years of experience as an assistant coach. Coach Gray is 37 years old, and he's been an assistant coach for 2 years. And that's unbelievable. And that just goes to show, what kind of person he is, what kind of coach he is, his experience. And if you came to practice at Winthrop last year and you saw Coach Gray in action, you'd have thought he'd been on the sidelines for 15, 20 years. And he hasn't, 2 years. And it's just unbelievable watching him, his basketball IQ, the way he sees the game and understands it, the developing players. I was so impressed with that, which made part of coming here an absolute no-brainer. But yeah, going back to what you were saying about the recruiting experience and not having any, what I'll say to that is we have a frame in our bedroom, and it says, "Embrace where your feet are planted." And that's a Coach Driscoll quote that he's shared many, many times over the years. And, what that means is exactly what it says. Don't be looking after the next job or the next opportunity or how I'm going to get on the road. Yeah, sometimes those things, come through your mind like, hey, okay, I just booked another hotel or another bus and I want to coach basketball. Those are real thoughts. But just embrace where your feet are planted and crush it, crush your role, be the best that you can be. And there's no scoreboard, but every day I woke up, I wanted to be the best director of basketball operations in the country. And no one is going to say, hey, the guy at Duke is better or the guy at, Florida is better. Like, who knows? But, that's kind of my mentality. And that's why I'm sitting here today. Coach Gray didn't hire me because I had a player in my back pocket that we were going to bring to Western Carolina or a relationship with every AAU coach up the East Coast. That's just not the case. He hired me because he believed in me and saw me work every day and thought, hey, if I'm going to start a program, I want someone that knows how to run a program inside and out from, a logistics standpoint, an administrative standpoint with me. And I'm grateful for that. And that's just kind of how it, helped happen.
Yeah. And we just did a big podcast with Fran Fraschilla on this topic of coaches complain that they have a hard time finding loyal, hardworking assistants. Well, no, you're just hiring the wrong people. Quit hiring people for players. Plus, the shit's changed anyways. Sorry for cursing or whatever, but I know you're in the office. Hopefully no one can hear me. It's changed, right? Like recruiting has changed. You guys have signed how many guys?
We signed 9 guys. We got 4 returning scholarship players.
So you signed 9, and you've only been there, maybe a month?
Yep.
3 weeks?
Yep.
Okay, so that's great. Congrats on that, first of all. How many of those 9 guys are transfers?
We got 8 transfers and 1 high school kid.
Okay, and that's normal. Like that is the new normal. Everybody recruits out of the portal or gets, you can steal some really good JUCO players. My point is recruiting is not what it used to be, where those lifelong relationships with AAU programs, of course, that all helps. All of that stuff helps. But recruiting no longer is a year-long relationship trying to convince a kid to come to your school, or a 2 or 3 year long recruiting process. It's now a 2-week recruiting process where somebody enters the portal. The guys who are all over the portal, all over Twitter, and understanding who comes in, and then can quickly dig through the film, dig through, the statistics, the analytics, and make the head coaches that can make quick decisions. Those are the ones that seem to get rewarded on the recruiting front now, not necessarily like, the guys that have been in it for 30 years or the guy who, again, I'm not trying to downplay that. Those relationships are super valuable and do help, but no longer do I think it's like a prerequisite to be able to recruit.
Right. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. 0 recruiting experience, have relationships from, different different things such as working camp, such as meeting guys at Rising Coaches Conference, meeting high school coaches at team camp, stuff like that. But definitely right. The portal has changed a lot. And there's just so many more kids than there are scholarships. So, getting involved with kids is not, an impossible task.
Right. Have you found, how has your experience been so far? Like, I'm sure you've signed some players at this point or been involved with the 9 guys you've signed. Is it harder than you thought, easier than you thought?
Yeah.
What's your experience been like?
Yeah, it's been amazing. Just, calling kids and parents and coaches and the biggest thing is research. So we signed 9 kids and Coach Gray got the job a month from tomorrow. So we haven't been here very long and 9 guys. So you really got to dig into, okay, this kid's good enough, but what are his ABCs? What's his transcript look like? Is academics important to him? Is it not? Does he go to class? Does he show up late? Those kind of questions are critical. The basketball's, it's tough because you can't see a kid with your own eyes. We're in a dead period, and these kids are in the portals. So you're watching games off Synergy, you're watching highlight tapes, you're talking to other coaches, maybe in their league or teams that have played them, and then the character piece. What can you find out about that kid? Why is he leaving the school that he is? How many times does he transfer in high school? What's he like when he's not playing? What kind of teammate is he on the bench? Like, all those things are so important. And research, 9 kids in a month. It's hard to get every single answer, but it's our job to turn over, every stone possible and try and find out as much as possible about these kids.
I love it. Zach, what else do you think is important to, impart to other people who are trying to do what you've done? What advice could you give someone?
This business is all about relationships. And the other thing I'll say is every day is an interview. I had no idea that Justin Gray would become a head coach after 2 years as an assistant. But, the way I worked every day, the way I built relationships with our staff, with administration, with our players, he was interviewing me every day and I had no idea. One thing that I did was Coach Kelsey gave me the responsibility of being our under out of bounds special teams coordinator. So I couldn't actually get on the floor and teach the guys or go over anything on scout, anything like that. NCAA rules prevent that. But what I did was I scouted every under out of bounds, offense, defense, sideline out of bounds, offense, defense. And as a staff, without any players there, as a staff, we'd go over it. And it was my job to know every single thing that would happen. If they lined up, with their 4 across, what they were doing. If the 4-man was in front of the ball, what they were doing. So when we go over that as a staff, I would text our head coach, Coach Kelsey, and then Coach Gray the night before every game. Hey, here's all their play calls. Here's exactly the actions they're going to run. Here's what they're going to do if they step left and go right. Here's what they're going to do if they move backwards or take a step forward. And we're just talking about it yesterday, Coach Gray and I, and he's like, man, how you knew every single thing they did, depending on how they lined up and how they moved, was just so impressive. And then he would take that and teach the guys, during walkthrough and go through it. Hey, here's what they would do. And, that's just something that, Coach Kelsey tasked me with, but I really ran with it and I owned it. And, if something went wrong or I didn't know a play call or I didn't know, how they're going to line up, that was on me. And that's just kind of the ownership I took with it.
Yeah, I love it. You were organized, you worked hard, and that is the stuff that pays off in the long run, as well as the relationship piece. Well, Zach, I can't thank you enough for being such a valuable member of our community and always being so involved with Rising Coaches. And again, couldn't be happier for you and your new position and your wedding next week.
Biggest win of my life. I appreciate it.
For sure. Don't forget that.
No doubt.
Thanks for coming on, Zach.
Thanks for having me, Adam.
Take care.
You as